Dr. Berry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about psychology and true crime. Today, we're taking a break from true crime to talk about recent episodes in Sister Wives season 19. This is a series on TLC. I think I covered Cody Brown and some of his dynamics in the past. And the last 3 episodes have really focused on the family finding out about Garrison's passing, where there were cameras recording Mary when she got the call from Cody. And reality TV, and we're not gonna get into that today, and it was the family's choice to decide to include all of this. I don't know with their contract with TLC if they wanted to exclude anything. I don't know if they would have been able to. If I was a therapist that was advising a family during the time, I would encourage them to keep some moments private. And if you've never seen the show, it's totally okay. I am not playing any clips from it. I did want to talk about when a person is struggling with depression and they mix in alcohol, because it comes up that the family did know that Garrison on and off would have issues with alcohol and that he struggled with depression. And the family really wanted to use his story to get information out about mental health awareness. And so that's why I wanted to talk about this and cover it. If anyone wants to support the memory of Garrison, the family has asked for donations to the Humane Society. He loved to adopt cats. And during one of the episodes, I think more than 36 cats were able to have their fee waived. And in their local Humane Society, they named a room. So the cat adoption room where people get to come and play with the cats, they named it after him. And I think soon the episodes are going to go back to a lot of drama between Cody and Robin and Cody and his ex-wives. And I think that's what the narrative is going to go back to. I'll be honest. So I fast forward through some of that. But sometimes there are things that's important for us to cover. And so that is what we are doing here today. The episodes do cover the most recent episode from last Sunday covered the actual memorial service. And so for anyone that has lost somebody due to and I can't say the word yet because of the tubes, but if someone has lost someone to severe depression, so anyone who is not familiar with the case, or with this story, Garrison Brown, sadly, he struggled with depression, and the family talked about that he had been um, using and possibly abusing alcohol, and that he died at his own hands. And so I think it's important for us to talk about the role of alcohol and depression. And yes, that's the word that I can't say yet. Um, so YouTube is just weird, and if the video ends up getting restricted, I don't mind, because getting this information out there is important. And the weird thing is that alcohol is a depressant, and so while a person may feel better, it can worsen depression. They've done research and studies on this, where individuals that are already at risk for depression, adding alcohol can increase these types of thoughts, this type of behavior. And it can, I'm going to have a link to the article down in the description. I have an article from 2010, but the information is still really, really relevant, that talks about uh, um, an escalating public health problem and the use of alcohol consistently being implicated in the precipitation of unaliving behavior. And what can happen is that alcohol abuse can lead to disinhibition. And disinhibition, what that is that the thing that a person wouldn't do sober, when they drink, they might they might act on that thought or that impulse. Alcohol can also increase impulsiveness. It can impair judgment, and that's why it increases the risk that someone may engage in a behavior. There is also some social things that can happen where a person might withdraw. So if they are abusing a substance, they might withdraw from family and friends. There might be a breakdown in social bonds. There might be some marginalization in their community or in their groups. They might lose their job. And so when it goes untreated, there can be major problems. And I saw another study when looking at substances and deaths this way, that about 20% of deaths when a substance is involved, 20% of the time it is alcohol. Um, all right. Yep. All right. Yes, the alcohol is a CNS depressant. It makes everything slow down. And the initial tipsy phase, because often when someone is abusing a substance, they're normally not just drinking one beer. They're normally not having one glass of wine. They're normally drinking in excess, which can increase these issues and problems as well. I did a study on I did research to teach college students how to drink responsibly if they were going to choose to drink, how to like stop, so that they don't, so that they're not binging, so that they're not overindulging, so that they don't feel sick the next day, so that they don't pass out or black out, and that they get to that just like a happy, like a tipsy place, and then that a person would stop. And which is easier said than done. And when a person has a problem, especially, I've worked with a lot of individuals that identify as alcoholics, and they often say there's no such thing as just one drink. So they often have to abstain from drinking altogether. And each person's different. So there are some people that are sober and they can be around other people that are drinking, but they just can't drink. And I think I'm really thankful. In May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I wanted to cover a topic that could just contribute to information and knowledge out there about mental health. And so talking about depression and alcohol, I thought this was an important topic, because when I have clients struggling with struggling with depression or anxiety, if they can, I often recommend that they not drink alcohol, because with alcohol being a depressant, with it slowing everything down, if we can replace it with something else. So, instead of drinking alcohol, if we can find a less harmful behavior that they still enjoy that, but it might not give them the same effects, but that they can switch to something else. um, all right. So alcoholism is a serious disease that can have major short-term effects. I'm reading from an article from Rehab Center. I have this article linked down in the description too. And people that are abusing alcohol become stuck in a pattern of drinking that makes it difficult to work, go to school, focus on anything but their drinking, which that alone can cause feelings of shame, depression, and hopelessness. Heavy drinking can increase the risk of suicidal thoughts and behaviors. And according to experts, the risk for unaliving self is 10 times higher in people with alcohol dependence than those without it. This is even true for people that don't have a history of depression. And so that's why, as a therapist, I screen for people for their use of alcohol, and then we check in on these types of thoughts, actions, and behaviors. All right. Um, Some risk factors include personal history or family history of substance use disorders, a family history of depression, any past attempts, childhood harm, social isolation, strained relationships, unemployment, and access to pew pews. Okay. And access is a really big one. All right. Uh, some effects can include poor judgment, cloudy thinking, lower inhibition, and so that's once again that sometimes a person might get a thought, but we don't act on every thought that we have, and alcohol can lower inhibition. Recklessness, impaired coordination, feelings of depression and anxiety, aggression, more likely to act on those unaliving self thoughts. Okay. And so, some signs that someone is at risk if they are talking about harming themselves or others, if they're looking for ways, if they're searching and looking for ways, writing about death or dying, and for some people, the writing about it is more expressive, and writing about it helps them want to live. But for some people, writing about it is not good, and so that's where having a therapist, being in treatment, can be really important. Leaving instructions on what to do with their possessions, giving away possessions, almost like a person is trying to get their affairs in order. Those are all red flags. Drinking more alcohol than usual, and then mixing alcohol with other substances. All right. And so, how to help. If you're concerned about somebody, their 988 is a national hotline. And then I do have a link in the description. There is a resource about substance treatment. And sometimes there's something that we call what we call co-occurring disorders, where a person has alcohol. Yes, they struggle with alcohol, but they also have severe depression. And talking about stopping drinking without addressing the depression is going to cause problems. And so there is something called co-occurring disorders. In Garrison's situation, I just wonder how the effect of his parents split and Cody kind of cutting himself off to the family outside of Robin and her children. And because in the show, Cody talks about he didn't know that he didn't have more time. And when a family is grieving, when a family is dealing with all of this, in the moment, whatever that situation I'm dealing with, it might seem really important. But I think if Cody had known that he only had a few more years, like if he had known that their time was limited, I think he would have made different decisions. And so that's where being able to um like you really have to let people know how you care, like how you feel about them, making sure that and a person might always have regrets. So I have other videos that talk about traumatic grief and a traumatic loss, because loss in this way, people are going to go through the what ifs. What if I had called? What if I had went to see them? What if? And then in therapy, we give them a safe place to explore and talk about those what ifs, but then we also talk about what now. What can I now do to ensure the relationships with my other family and my other children are improved? What now? What do? Because getting stuck in the what ifs can paralyze a person where they don't know how to move forward. And the loss of a child, we don't have a word for it. Like, so if a spouse loses if a spouse loses their partner, it's widower. If if you lose your parents, it's called, you're an orphan. We don't have a word for child loss. And trying to just figure out how to move forward is hard enough. And then when you add on top of it the guilt and the shame of this type of loss, it does add extra to the whole process. And so that's why I like to share tips and resources just so that people can know that yes, there is hope, that there are things out there. Um, so Janelle is Garrison's birth mother because they were sister wives. So it's the wives are Mary, Robin, Janelle, and Christine. Those are, I believe I said them all. I might be missing one. But those are the wives. And with sister wives, the other wives' children are often viewed as your own children. But I liked in the show that they let Janelle have her grief. That other people, just from my own opinion, just from watching what they aired on the show, knowing that reality TV is not someone's real reality, I do hope that there were things that moments that were able to stay private. And but with a traumatic loss, sometimes the grieving process, it's not these normal stages. When we talk about stages of grief, we normally talk about denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. But with traumatic loss and traumatic grief, sometimes a person gets a mix of all of different things all at the same time, because sometimes we also add in some trauma symptoms as well. My heart goes out to the family member that found Garrison. That is often that person normally has a lot on them. The people that had to make the calls to other family members, because that is something that you can't unsee. And so I just my heart truly goes out to them. Yes, and grief is not linear, so grief is never, so for even someone who has a sick relative that dies of natural causes, they don't always go in that linear stage. But traumatic grief, often the anger and denial can last a longer time than eventually getting to the acceptance. I've worked with individuals that have had traumatic losses where our goal is to eventually get to acceptance, but I don't know if they ever will. Because a part of being a parent, and acceptance to me isn't approval, it's not denying the reality. But there are some people that I've worked with where accepting the fact that they're never going to see their child again, like they almost prefer to stay in one of the other stages. We try to not stay in denial and anger, but we sometimes create something new and different that's okay for them. Where we know at certain times of the year, the pain and the grief is going to come up again. If there are other losses in the family, that's going to reopen these other wounds. But traumatic grief and traumatic losses, it's just very different. Um, I see this question: ruminate more with traumatic losses. Can I define traumatic loss? All right, when I talk about traumatic loss, I'm considering like the way that the person dies. So possibly due to violence. For some people, if it's unexpected, so sometimes an unexpected loss to the individual can feel traumatic. And death by sewer, so death by suicide, that those there's it's anytime I worked with somebody that's lost somebody due to violence, lost somebody due to depression, the grief, it's been a different type of grief. And many of those individuals, if they decide to stay in therapy, like, we normally work for a long period of time. Dementia is different because, so somebody with dementia or somebody with, let's say a family member gets diagnosed with a terminal illness, because sometimes you're grieving before you've lost the person. And so the part that can be traumatic with dementia is my parent maybe not recognizing me, maybe thinking that I'm my mother and that I'm not their child. And so I just think traumatic losses, It can be a little bit different, but here we're specifically talking about death due to depression. And then I've sometimes seen similar things if it's been by violence as well. All right. All right. Let me know if y'all have any general questions. This is Memorial Day weekend. And so I'm so glad that 47 of you all have decided to join us. If you could give the video a like, it helps in the whole algorithm thing. Um, uh, when I was watching the episodes where they were talking about Garrison, Janelle talked about, I think she's always been kind of she's normally not one that cries a lot, or I think she keeps her emotions inside. And she just talked about times when the emotion would just be overwhelming. And the way that she described it, it was very similar to things that I've heard clients say that have been through similar situations. And she also talked about the fact that the family had resources that they could have, if they had known it was this bad, that they could have sent him to rehab. They just didn't know. And I like to point out the fact that when somebody mixes depression and alcohol, they might make a decision that they wouldn't make sober. And um, death in this way passes the pain to the rest of the family. I did think it was interesting that the funeral service was the first time that I think they had all gotten together in a while, and that this loss might have brought the family together. Sometimes families try to do meaning making, where they try to make sense of the loss by finding meaning. And one of my favorite quotes is by Viktor Frankl, where, and I'm paraphrasing here, where he talks about pain with no purpose leads to suffering. And so often finding some purpose in the pain that can be really important. And Lady Jane, I did a video on frontal temporal dementia, where I talked about, because that's FTD, where in relation to Wendy Williams, and gave some information, because the thing that can be hard with FTD is that it's the behavior change. So a family member that maybe used to be loving and caring is now like the biggest, like they are cursing and screaming. They might become physically aggressive. And so those types of situations can be really difficult. And I see somebody mentioned Robin Williams here. And there are a lot of celebrities that have lost their battle with depression. And some of them also use substances or had other things going on. I think Robin Williams might have been afraid of his, because I think he had a medical condition that was going to get worse. And I work with individuals that may have terminal illnesses, or they have debilitating illnesses like multiple sclerosis or chronic pain. And chronic pain can be a huge trigger for um, unaliving type thoughts. And so when I'm working with those individuals, we try to build a life that they want to live, which is easier said than done. Because sometimes a person is accepting that they really, maybe they are going to lose their functioning. Maybe it is they're it is gonna be hard for them once they need a full-time caregiver, and it might be hard for them to want to live once those things happen. And there are some states that have, like, death with dignity. There are some states that allow for that. Virginia, I don't think my state is one of them. Um but it's just it's a lot. And I see Mick Pigeon talking about chronic pain and the potential loss of function. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Um, all right. All right. Y'all are so supportive in the chat. I appreciate you all. and especially spending this holiday Saturday with me. If y'all heard things in the background, my son and my in-laws are having a blast downstairs. And so they are having a ton of fun. And so Oregon has it. I want to say Colorado might have it. Let me see which states have death with dignity. So that if a person does have a terminal illness, once they get to a certain stage, that they do have options. Um, all right, which states? Looks like California, Colorado, DC. I didn't know that. Hawaii, Maine, Montana, New Jersey, New Mexico, Oregon, Vermont, and Washington State. That's according to the web. So some of that might be incorrect. But it's what that does is it's compassion and choices where medical aid is used when a person has a terminal illness. If they end up meeting criteria for, it's called assisted, that word, that S word that the tube doesn't like. So assisted unaliving. That's what it's called. But it's only in certain states and only for certain situations. It's really hard on and so that's where each person just has to figure out how to do things. The hard thing about this situation is, um, and the reason why I don't think he planned to do this was he didn't have a plan for his cat. Like, and I don't know. So I don't know enough about the details of like the police because I'm not going to dig into all of those things. Um I think there was a part of him that likely wanted to live, and I think there might have been a part of him when he was drinking that lost hope and maybe didn't feel like things were worth it or was just in too much pain. And the alcohol can increase that pain. And I just wish that he had known that. I just wish that he did. There's currently a situation where a woman in Georgia is being kept alive. I think she got sick and she's medically brain dead, but she was 8 weeks pregnant. And because of Georgia's law, they are going to keep her alive and until she gives birth. Some of my thoughts on that, um, they're gonna have to monitor that child for any type of, like, just if the child does make it, to full term, um, and I hope that when family members come to visit, that they are talking to the belly, but, um, that is because she is brain dead and she's being kept alive by science, and so, it is that is a tough situation. That's a lot. That's a lot. Um, it's a lot. Uh, I love the fact that so this is a safe place and I love this. Hugs for anybody that's struggling. These are difficult topics, and I do have resources. I've worked with family members after they've lost a family member due to violence or due to suicide and being able to support the family. I also work with people that have chronic thoughts of self harm or that they have a lot of difficult thoughts. And we create a safe space. And together we try to, once again, like I said, create the life that they want to live. And that's often the most important thing. We try to see what their pain points are, and are there any ways that we can reduce some of their pain? Right now, I'm working with some federal workers that are really stressed because the federal environment has kind of changed since January 2020, and so some people we're looking at what options people have if they are going to stay in the federal government. You know, how do they keep their sanity in the midst of this storm, in the midst of everything that they're going to? This is a great time to mention. So I have a book, Turning Crisis into Clarity: How to Survive or Thrive in the Midst of Uncertainty. And that is just where I talk about that there. Yay. So for the end of this stream, so y'all know I am decorating my new office. And I have some new pillowcases that I literally just got delivered. And if anybody wants the link, I can put a link to it over in the chat. Once I'm completely done with my move in, I am going to share like a shoppable pic. So if you like the pillows or if you like the picture, like if there's something somebody likes that, and if I bought it on Amazon, that I will share some of those links. And so, okay. Sorry for the noise. Maybe it's ASMR. All right. So in the new office, let me share a picture. Let's see if this will work. Okay. Because I can show y'all my current office because it'll just give you some perspective. And then I will show you all the new office. And I am loving the, so I think they're white Chinese cherry blossoms. I did that on Friday. And I am so pleased with how everything turned out. Let's see. And then one more picture. There we go. I don't think that's the good one. Oh, that's the best one I have. Yeah, there we go. All right. So let's share the old office first. All right. Share this image. All right. Here we go. So this is my current office. I'm replacing the chairs and the white chair that's at the table. I now have cushion chairs and then the rug that's in this office, I put that rug in the lobby and I bought 2 new rugs for the new office. The new office has 2 windows, and so the scheme of the room is going to switch a little. The dimensions of this office and my new office are very similar. And so but the couch is going to go on the back wall where the window is now, but the new office has the 2 windows on the side, and then the chairs are gonna face the couch with the one let me go ahead and switch here. There we go. Because this is the new office. And so the couch is gonna be on that far wall with the 2 chairs anchored by that rug at the far end. And then I'll have the table and chairs right on that the second rug, and then my desk and my I didn't show y'all a picture of that. Because on the other side, I have my desk and, let me see if I can share that from the old office. Here we go. Here we go. So, a ton of stuff. So I have my desk and all these things. All of that is gonna go behind the door. You really can't see that side from there. But I'm so excited. This turned out so well. I am so happy with it. On Friday, I put up the curtains in the new office, and then I also did this mural. I need to go back because the "Is it okay?" at that far end, I need to put some Elmer's glue under because the little words keep falling off the wall. And so the stickiness isn't great. So I'm gonna add a little bit of Elmer's glue to make that stick on. I love, love, love. Like I am so like I can't. I just can't. And I'm gonna have to figure out because there are some Chinese symbols and I need to figure out what they say just in case anybody asks me. But uh, yes. And so my mom and I painted the office. That took longer than I was expecting. We started at like 10 a.m. and then I had to leave at 1 p.m. to do appointments with clients. And then she finished at like 4 p.m. Like it took 2 gallons of paint. The paint color, not sponsored, but it's Bear Paint Breezy Blue, but 50%. So the breezy blue normal concentration, it was too dark. But I really liked that it didn't have I really liked this color. And so we did some research. I think my mom learned on ChatGPT that she could ask them to do it 50% strength. And and so that's what we ended up doing. My mom is absolutely phenomenal. She helped with all of that. Okay. So now the new things that came in the mail. Welcome to anyone that's new. This is decorating with Dr. Berry. No, it's not. No, I guess that's what we're doing now. Okay. So what's this? Okay. So this is a pillow. No, stay close to people who feel like sunshine. And then I got the little insert. I will add these in my Amazon store if anybody, and you don't have to. Like, if people like these things, you know what I mean? Like, so please don't spend money if like don't spend money if you don't need to. But so I wanted some pillows to bring in some of the dark blue. Okay. I spend money so y'all don't have to. Okay. That's what we're gonna do. So this one says, how cool is it that at the same t oh, yeah, so I don't think I'm gonna put this one as a religious one, so I don't think I'm gonna put this one in the office. But yeah, so this one is, how cool is it that the same God that created the oceans and mountains and galaxies looked at you and thought the world needed one of you too? And so this one I'm gonna keep for my home office. Um, it was a pack of 4, and I liked 3 of the other 4 for my office. But this'll go in my home office. All right, put that over there. Yes, I thought there were 4. Uh, this is one of my favorite sayings. I can do hard things, but also we can do hard things. So that will be one. And then the last picture, I know, I liked it. I really liked it. I love decorating. Can y'all tell? And this was my first time decorating a lobby. And I call it my Pinterest board come to life. Like, it's everything that I imagined it would be. Like, there's nothing. I need to go get a 6, like a cube, a 2 by 3 cube. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Last one. This is one of my favorites. It's okay to make mistakes, take care of yourself, not please everyone, ask for help, not be perfect, and to say no. I like this one. So that is the 4th one. And this was a pack of 4 that I liked. And so these are going to replace, because right now I have some blue pillows on the couch. And so I'm gonna replace these. Here we go. Share. I'm already sharing that one. Make myself small. So these those light blue pillows, I'm gonna bring those back home. And I'm gonna replace it with these 3 pillows. So yay! Made me happy. Sauna in your office. Oh, so people like this one. Uh, yes. It's okay to not be okay is one of my, favorite things. And I've already started showing clients pictures of the new lobby. I have some clients that are on the autism spectrum or that have histories. They have CPTSD, so change can be hard. And so me just showing them this is the lobby, like, it can just kind of help. It's people that I've worked with for a while. They are used to my current office. And so I've been able to kind of share them pictures and let them know about the changes that are coming. My official move happens next Saturday, so I will not be streaming May 31st. And but probably I will be. So I've already recorded a draft saved in my TikTok that is gonna and I'll add it to YouTube as a short that that has my journey, that has this whole process from beginning to end. And so I'll share that on YouTube probably the first week in June. And of course, I'll share it on Instagram and TikTok too. But this has been fun. I'm super excited. The jade color, yes, it's a so it also goes so those blue pillows were here in, this office. This is my home office, and, so I'm just gonna bring them back here. That's what I'm gonna do. Alright. Did somebody get a trophy? Um, yes. It's okay to not be perfect. Yes. 'Cause anxiety wants you to be perfect. Trauma wants you to be perfect. Like, those things want you to be perfect. But if I focus on that, I'm doing the disorder. And so the healthy, thriving thing is to get okay with, "Okay, I don't have to be perfect." But maybe with my harmful parent, maybe I did have to be perfect. But now knowing in my current safe relationships, I don't have to still strive for that perfection. And sometimes acknowledging and validating how people got where they are. I've also worked with people that are perfectionists that like they didn't like it was their internal drive or that internal anxiety. But I'll have to look up that, I haven't heard that song. I haven't heard it. And so, I appreciate you all. I hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. If you're in the United States, Monday is a holiday. I will be home. And Lady Jane mentioned not having safe relationships. And so I hope that people can feel okay in this community. And so I don't know you all personally, but I try to create a space here where people can feel seen and heard. It's not therapy, but I adore this community. This is why I go live, and y'all are phenomenal. I hope y'all have a good rest of your day. I'll see you on Tuesday. I have no clue what we're talking about. I'll figure it out by Tuesday, but I'll see y'all on Tuesday. Have a good one. Bye.